Tim Prister with Tim O'Malley and John Brice outside of Notre Dame Stadium. Notre Dame just completed their first practice of the 2024 preseason. Had an opportunity to spend about 25 minutes with Marcus Freeman. And probably the best news, we have a lot to talk about, but the best news is that Benjamin Morrison was running around there making plays. Nobody's talking about, live stuff and contact yet, but he was running around mixing it up. And Marcus Freeman also said that Morrison, along with Mitchell Evans, will be ready to go when Texas A&M rolls around on August 31st.
I thought the most important thing for Morrison was there was a rep where he broke up a pass downfield. And, they're not wearing pads, so it wasn't a contact drill. He tried to dive on the fumble. Yes. That's when Benjamin Morrison is okay. He's diving on a fumble in a non-contract drill. So that's by far the best news. That was my major concern. Would he be available for Texas A&M? Now, he would have to be re-injured not to be available for Texas A&M the way he's playing. Mitchell Evans did have a lighter day than Benjamin Morrison. I didn't see him take part in any of the 11-on-11 stuff, but he was repping in skeleton drills, and that's great too. He has a brace on. Kevin Bauman does not. No brace for Kevin Bauman is something I didn't think you'd ever see because he's suffered so many injuries.
Well, and to that point, T.O., I believe that Marcus Freeman also said Kevin Bauman would be expected to join that duo in terms of being available for the opener. I saw the rep that you're talking about with Ben Morrison. That's a new sort of focal point for the defense this year. Even on incomplete passes, they are being coached to scoop and score, scoop the ball up, run downfield, really have some energy there. And Ben Morrison looked like a guy who had really missed being on a football field.
Yeah, when he leaped to defend a pass and went to the ground, I think we're all just kind of studying him a little bit to make sure he's okay. But that was good news. No contact yet. We'll keep you posted on that certainly as we move forward. We've been speculating in the spring and throughout the summer about number one right tackle, and I want to, although he did talk about him being the number one tackle, and that is Emil Wagner. I had written down that we'll see tomorrow if Tosh Baker is the number one right tackle, just to mix it up. But pretty much Marcus Freeman indicated that, Emil Wagner has earned that opportunity to be number one.
Yeah, and he was out there from the outset. When we watched them in pass skeleton, even in the opening moments of practice, I think it was the second period of practice, you already had Emil Wagner out there at the right tackle position. Tosh Baker got some work with the ones today, but Emil Wagner far and away got the most work there. And then we also noticed, to your credit, TP, you've been calling this, we saw Rocco Spindler get a lot of work today with the first team offensive line at that guard position. Now, he split some with Pat Coogan, and Sullivan Absher was the third guy in there at that spot, but Rocco Spindler also got a lot of reps with the ones today.
Yeah, Absher at guard.
Absher was at left guard.
Yeah, Absher was at left guard. That's what I found interesting. And that allows Coogan. That allows you a two deep at guard. Now, Coogan, if he doesn't win the job, or Spindler, if they don't win the job, can be on the right side. Absher at left side. I'm sure since Absher's been left tackle, I'm sure left guard's a little easier for him at this point in his career. And I want to point out that the 11-on-11 we saw late is what I think ones and twos really are, not the skeleton drills. So Rocco Spindler was that guard, not Pat Coogan. Emil Wagner was that tackle. And this is why I bring it up. Christian Gray was the corner. Jaden Mickey was the corner in skeleton drills opposite Benjamin Morrison.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of great things about Christian Gray, what his future holds, what his present holds. And we expect him to be in starting line, but obviously Jaden Mickey has to play. Yeah. So there's a strong rotation there. We had our first opportunity to see Rod Hurd II at safety, also played a little bit of nickel. It looked like Jordan Clark was going to get all the reps at nickel before Rod Hurd jumped in there. Got a little background noise here that we're dealing with. Please bear with us on that.
It's a slow walk. It's like if you're the slow walk away in a dramatic 80s comedy, that's what's going on right there with those things.
So we saw Rod Hurd. He's not a real big guy, but a guy that's very active out there. And, I asked Marcus Freeman about cornerback depth because the reality is Chance Tucker had a really, really tough day today, and he would be counted as the
that was Chance Tucker.
Yeah, he held a lot, and guys still caught passes over him. It was a tough day. So I asked Marcus Freeman about, will one of those freshmen, Moore or Hobbs, and we had heard about Hobbs playing nickel, right, over the course of the summer. But are you going to have to count on a freshman? And he said at least one of those freshmen is going to have to emerge at corner.
And it makes sense because Jordan Clark's the nickel. Rod Hurd is the backup nickel. The only issue there is Rod Hurd might be the starting safety. And Jaden Osbury can be a backup nickel as well. So you can work Carson Hobbs out of that into the more important number 4 quarterback role, or Leonard Moore if they can beat out Chance Tucker. Tucker's a senior. Those guys are true freshmen. Tucker has about 50 career snaps. this was probably Chance Tucker's worst day, too. We should point out that I'm sure it doesn't always go like this for Chance Tucker, or he already would not be the number 4 cornerback, even going into the first practice. So I don't want to belabor this point, but Clarence Lewis is supposed to be the backup at all these positions, the number 4 corner, the number 4 safety, and the number 3 nickel, and they don't have him now. They're going to have to do a little work on that.
I was told that they tried to find another corner late spring, early summer, were unable to do that. So that's I wrote about the talking points yesterday on Irish Illustrated, and one of them is this is a really good starting secondary, but there's some concerns with depth.
Yeah, there is. That's the only spot on the defense, in my opinion, where there's any merited concern about the depth there, but you like the young talent that is starting to emerge there. It's very clear that Marcus Freeman has belief, particularly in those 2 freshman cornerbacks, that they can be ready. He point blank said we need to get one of them ready. If not, we've got some versatility back there. We can move some guys around to make it happen, but that's got to be music to the ears of those freshmen, because they're hearing the head coach day one say, you're going to have an opportunity. Can you seize it?
He also indicated that Adon Schuler, who we've been very impressed with and what he throughout the spring and what he did, he will be certainly involved and have his opportunities to be on the field. Oh yeah, Riley Leonard was a quarterback today, getting most of the reps. Certainly Steve Angeli mixed in there. I was given an unofficial count by Phil Houck, one of our compadres here in the business. He had Leonard at 8 for 11 when they were going
Team 11 on 11.
11 on 11. Looked really sharp, threw a couple great passes. Steve Angeli threw a couple great passes, also threw a bad one that probably should have been a pick 6 for Adon Schuler, but
they benched Adon Schuler after the non-pick 6 for a play, so it should have been a pick 6.
Yeah, right. Mike Mickens was very upset that he did not come up with that pick 6, but Riley Leonard looked good. I mean, he's loose-armed, he's athletic. He looked really good.
What I liked in studying Riley Leonard today was, much like Ben Morrison, I thought you saw a guy that has missed being on the football field. And we've heard and we've alluded to it on our podcast and on the board about Riley Leonard's competitiveness. And I saw it today. There was a play where he got really pressured on the right side, where it might have been when Botello or Oben beat the right tackle, and Riley couldn't get the ball away. He got swallowed up in the pocket, and then it was time for him to rotate out. He took the football with him over to the sideline and spiked it like a basketball. He was so frustrated off of that one play. Not in a bad way. Please don't read into it that way. I just thought that was a visual representation of how competitive he is. He wants every rep, and he expects to succeed every rep.
Yeah. Bo Collins, again, our first look at Bo Collins. I don't know. I turned to Tim. I said, I was expecting a 6'5" guy that lumbers a little bit. I don't know why I would think that, other than, he's a true W. He's a true boundary receiver, and he's quick. Don't get me wrong, he's listed at 6'3". He might be a touch under that. I guess I was expecting a guy a little bit longer. We saw him in the spring, but not live.
Right.
But he's good. He's a good football player. And I thought, I said this to you, Tim, I thought, right from the very beginning, body language, which is huge for me as a former coach when it comes to players, just the way he carries himself, you knew that Bo Collins was a veteran receiver from the moment he stepped on the practice field today.
Yeah, and he had a good day, and Jaden Thomas had a good day, too. Jaden Thomas made some nice plays. He made a great catch out of bounds where Morrison kind of was like, you're out of bounds, but he made a nice catch over Benjamin Morrison that was out of bounds. He made a couple nice catches downfield, one on Mickey. He had a good day. Those are your two those are your two guys that work at the boundary. There's no other bodies like that. Jordan Faison got some X reps today. You kind of looked into that during the spring, but he, of course, wasn't practicing.
Right.
And Marcus Freeman made a good point. How many slots can we go deep? I mean, Jaden Harrison, I don't care when anybody says what he did to Marshall. Jaden Harrison's quicker than everybody. He is faster than everybody out there.
There's some questions about us talking about Jaden Harrison too much. We go to practice.
Yeah.
He is lightning fast. He's impressive every time we go out
and
there.
Jeremiah Love is going to get some slot snaps, so you do have to move Faison around. Greathouse along. They have better depth. And Marcus Freeman said we want to get our best 6, and then he did correct himself. He's get our best 6 or 7 because they are going to get pressed to 7 this year. Maybe not game 1, but they're going to get pressed to 7 in September.
Jaden Greathouse is a quicker wide receiver than he was last year. He looks sensational.
And to the wide receiver topic, and you want to talk about what a difference a year makes. I counted early in practice, maybe it was the 4th period, where the wide receivers were doing some drills. Mm-hmm. There were 17 guys working with the wide receiver unit today. 17. Now, there's 11 of those guys, I think, that are scholarship that they feel really good about. But 17 guys, when there were times last year there weren't 7 bodies.
Logan Saldate, we saw him for the first time. I would physically, body-wise, I'd compare him to a Jordan Faison at this stage of their development. We have an Irish Illustrated Insider coming up, so we're going to wrap this up. But the last guy I want to talk about is we saw James Randell punt today, and the one time I turned and looked, he had a clunker, but
I think he was working on quick punts there, though. I think he was trying to catch and punt.
Well, everything else was really impressive, wasn't that?
He had one today that I turned to Pete Sampson and said that was 66 yards in the air. 66 yards in the air. Oh, and by the way, it was inside the 5-yard line. He dropped it inside the 5-yard line, 66 yards in the air.
And not a line drive.
No. Incredible hang time. He's got to get consistent. We saw him have a couple of miss hits, and even when I walked inside and watched him working with the special teams while the rest of the team was out on the 2 outdoor practice fields, I watched him in there, and when he gets into one, the hang time, the distance, you wow yourself, but then you realize how long you're watching that ball hang up in the air. Marcus Freeman said he will be a weapon for us. I think special teams are poised for another really good year and to do even greater things under Mari Biaggi.
And it's you said it's effortless. His
flies.
His punting
it's a
technique.
Trampoline.
I thought, and you made a good point, JB, that he's worked on the conventional American style football punting. I thought, he's an Australian football player, so he's going to kick like an Australian football player. But he's learned, and he doesn't necessarily hit spirals on every one of them, but they just keep carrying and carrying. We've got a whole bunch coming up on Irish Illustrated Insider a little bit later this afternoon. But for now, this has been Irish Illustrated's Instant Analysis.